Top of the table.
One topic that has been trending of late is Johnny Depp and Amber Heard defamation case. While thanks to live telecast by Law and Crime Channel, everyone across the globe became a live spectator of this trial. It got audiences on the edge of the seats on verdict day, just like they did when Captain Jack Sparrow plunged into the sea in one of his movies, or Mira fought Steppenwolf in Justice League. The wire within each of us was hooked to this news. A divorced couple coming back at each other to reveal some disturbing details of their relationship was food for gossip mongers, and the trial a source of new content for meme creators. After a long he said, she said, and numerous audio and video recordings plus testimonies, when hashtag yes, yes, yes started trending on Twitter, half the world knew what the verdict was. Depp was awarded a larger sum in the case, while both were found guilty of defaming each other. But what we are here to discuss today is not the details of the defamation case, but what went into it. The lessons we must learn from Depp and Heard's relationship that came in the spotlight because of the audio and video recordings shared during the trial. Hello and a very warm welcome to Top of the Table. I am your host Sheetal Sharma, and to discuss this very, very hot topic, I have with me our in-house clinical psychologist, Jaswandi Sahasrabudhe. Hi, Jaswandi.
Hey Sheetal, first of all, I would really like to appreciate you for choosing this topic today on the top of the table because, yes, as you rightly said, all of us are actually hooked on to this news of how things have been getting in between their relationship and what have they gone through. To be honest, to speak about the character of Captain Jack Sparrow, it has always caught my attention because I have, being a psychologist, I have really liked that personality and like a different character. But I was really amused to see the relationship that he had with Amber, and uh, I really wanted to get into the psychological aspect of it, and is that's when I actually why this topic actually interested me was because of the psychologist who Depp had hired to do the assessment of Amber. And I'm sure all the listeners have gotten to that angle when the psychologist said that Amber was diagnosed with histrionic personality and borderline personality. So, to be honest, Sheetal, I have always been very interested in getting to know more about these personalities, and I believe there is a lot of these personalities that uh, might have also triggered a few things in their relationship.
So, definitely, Jaswandi, that is something that I will look forward to listening and understanding from you. But apart from that, when you are watching such news, such masala news on TV, your parents or better half or anyone around you who is not interested in that news generally, ask you, why are you even watching it? What is in it for you? And for the first time, I basically had a comeback, which was that, this is what is going to teach me lessons in close relationships, what to do and what not to do.
Yes, Sheetal. Apart from the entertainment, I generally watch all the news and all the Netflix or all the OTT platforms. I watch it to get that sense of relief and relaxation and just no brainer thing. But I also believe when we watch something like this, yes, there is a lot to learn. Either learning in the way that okay, what you should be doing, or as you said, learning what you should not be doing. And in this case, I would say, Sheetal, we had both things to look at because the trauma that both of them might have gone through or the toxic relationship that they had, we really need to know what are the aspects of these toxic relationships. Are we actually in such a toxic relationship? And if we are, we need to really get out of this relationship because I'm sure all of us will agree to that initially these toxic relationships can we can be, I would say, okay with it, but later as time passes by, you understand, you start feeling that it creates a lot of pressure. You start feeling suffocated, and I have been listening to a lot of such cases, Sheetal, and trust me, what currently the relationships need is not just safety but also empathy, kindness, and trust, and moreover the respect that we should share as partners together.
Absolutely, Jaswandi. And I think it was clear from the proceedings of the court that these were things that were missing from Depp and Heard's relationship. In fact, the couple's therapist also divulged during the testimony that there were physical and verbal altercations between the two that did take place. And while a lot of people, especially men or his diehard fans, might be celebrating Depp's win worldwide, the truth is the relationship between the two actors was way too toxic and volatile, which is evident from the recordings presented in the court.
So true. Like, for example, the recording that spoke about how Depp was trying to chop his finger with a knife during the argument. Also, when he slammed the kitchen cabinets, and all of this, Sheetal, are clear cut evidences of aggressive, abusive relationship. And this shows how emotionally abusive relationship they were in. And emotional abuse, we always say, oh, someone didn't hit me, so I'm not abused. No, emotional, I this is what I believe, Sheetal. Emotional abuse is even worse than physical abuse, because physical abuse, in a physical abuse, you can see, okay, you have cuts, you have marks, but in emotional abuse, you actually cannot see anything. Basically, emotional abuse is way someone trying to control other person using his emotions. The person tries to criticize, shame, blame, and do everything just to make the person feel bad. And imagine, Sheetal, if you are in such a relationship, it will be so difficult for you to come out. Not during being, yes, it will be difficult when you are in the relationship, but even when you come out of the relationship, I'm sure, I'm 100% sure that there is a lot of things that you will have to work on to come out of it.
That's absolutely correct, Jaswandi. And also, I feel that this trial and the details of it sent very mixed signals, especially to young adults, like for instance, a 15 or 16-year-old, who are very new to the concept of relationship and cohabitation with someone apart from their immediate family. They wonder, how does a normal relationship really look like? Does it involve this kind of, calling out each other names, or, trying to hurt themselves, or trying to slam kitchen cabinets or doors and everything? Is that all normal? Is that how relationships are? Because for these young adults, apart from their parents, it's basically these celebrities that they look up to. And in case if both those relationships are warped, then god save the person that they are going to get into relationship with.
So true. And Sheetal, as you rightly said, these celebrities are like role models for a lot of young teenagers who are just into relationship, and not just when we talk about relationship, Sheetal. But I think about Captain Jack Sparrow. There are people who, like as you said, are die-hard fans of that character, and for them, something coming from this person would be like, yeah, if he can do it, why can't I do it? And imagine if this person gets into a relationship with a person who is not exposed to such an abuse ever. It will be so difficult. And for that person who is an abuser, he does not understand, okay, I'm doing is wrong, because according to him, what my role model or the person who I look up to is doing the same thing. Oh, why can't I? So abusive words, bullying, also emotional abuse can alter a lot of things in your life and can affect almost all facets of your life.
And just only sometimes it is why can't I, but sometimes it is also the lack of understanding of what true relationships or real relationships look like, right? I mean, you might think that this is how relationships are supposed to function. It's normal to fight, it's normal to hit the other person, it's normal to be emotionally abusive. So I think that that is what these guys kind of take away, and therefore that reflects in their relationships as well. And that is what we talk about, patterns that are repeated, and how to break those patterns and understand your childhood trauma, or the things that have happened in your childhood which are reflective of how you're functioning now, or generational trauma for that matter. Because if this has been a pattern that has been repeating from your grandparents to your parents and then to you, then it is a part of generational trauma that the other person is going through in that particular relationship. And how to break it is something which is extremely important for the person who is basically the perpetrator here.
So true. And Sheetal, like to give an example here. So I was talking to a client who was physically abused. It was a domestic violence case that was filed against this person, and the husband was like actually physically abusing this girl, and like she was going through a lot. And when we actually started talking to her is when we realized this her husband's parent, especially the father, used to always hit his mother. So what the husband was seeing from the time he was a kid, that it is okay to hit your wife, or it is okay when you're angry to react in a certain way. So as you said, it's the generational pattern as well that affects the way you treat your other partner, or the way you behave with your other partner when you are in a disagreement or a conflict. So your trauma or even environmental triggers play a very important role. And Sheetal, here comes why we need to actually think about what are the five most important things to get into healthy relationship. What do you think?
Just one thing, I think that you've spoken about it a bit, in the beginning as well. So yeah, we are talking about mutual respect, we are talking about kindness, effective communication, trust, and understanding, and add understanding each other's trauma as well, because that kinds of gives you a window to also understand where that person's patterns are coming from, and therefore guide that person to be a better self. And of course the onus does not lie with the other person. Like, if there are two people in the relationship, and the man is abusive and the woman is the one who is the victim, then the onus does not lie only on the woman to kind of understand the childhood trauma or the traumas that the male had, and try to make him understand that. But the onus is also on the male, who is the perpetrator of the crime or the violence, and that person also needs to understand where his patterns are coming from and change himself.
So, and Sheetal, when we are talking about this, that's where we talk about open communication, right? If you do not know about each other's trauma or what you have gone through when you were, like, for example, 12-year-old, or when what you have seen, I don't think so. A relationship can survive, and that's where empathy. What I believe currently the society really lacks is empathy, because we tend to give sympathy, but we rarely talk about empathy and how kindness can actually strengthen our relationship with our partner, and not just with our partner, but any other person who we are interacting with.
And in fact, just Fandi, if I talk about my own relationship with my husband, trust me, when we were dating each other, and a lot of people asked me that, what is it that attracts you the most towards him? And my first word were kindness. So it wasn't how he looked, it wasn't the kind of work that he does, it wasn't any of that, but it was kindness. Because the moment I see a person who is kinder towards any other being, be it an animal, be it another fellow human being, whoever, I think it is so reflective of the person and the character of that person.
Also, Sheetal, it is reflective towards how the person is going to treat you. So I always believe two important things for me when I talk to anyone is, as you said, yes, empathy and kindness, but also mutual respect to a certain extent. Because I might not be as equally qualified as you, I might not be as good looking as you, or even we might be different in all the other elements, but still we respect each other for who we are. And Sheetal, in every relationship, I guess this is the most important element of mutual respect for who you are, rather than just criticizing, sitting down and saying, oh, you are like this, you are like that. I know you are like this and I accept it. I respect you for who you are. And I would say this is, yes, a very important relationship element that we should be looking at.
So just one thing, tell me, like, even when you talk to people today or otherwise, when we talk to our friends or other peers who are in an emotionally abusive relationship, or a toxic or a financially abusive relationship, and they refuse to see the signs, why do you think that most of the people are in denial about being in a toxic or an abusive relationship? Is it because they feel that abuse is only physical in nature? So if your partner does not hit you, like we said in the beginning, then your partner isn't abusive. Whereas there are six different kinds of abuses, that are identified, and which can spiral your mental health into a disease.
Yes, so Sheetal, yes, there are several reasons why people actually are into denial, and one of the reason might be because they are not aware that they are into an abusive relationship. As you said, because people feel okay, because someone has not hit me or I'm not hurt physically, that means I have not experienced abuse. On the other hand, there are, as you said, there are 5 to 6 different types of abuses which you need to be aware of, and you need to know these red flags. And if you feel, oh, yes, I have gone through this in my relationship, it is high time you actually start working on that thing, or you actually come out of it, depending on the intensity and frequency of that abuse. So I'll tell you guys in short about these 5 to 6 types of abuses. The first one, as all of us know, is the physical abuse. So basically, physical abuse is intentional body injury, where someone tries to hurt you physically. For example, someone is slapping you, pinching you, choking you, or trying to threaten you by saying, I'm going to kill you, with or without any substance influence. This is what we call as physical abuse. So if you feel you have experienced physical abuse at any time, it is very important for you to get out of it as soon as possible. The second one is the emotional abuse, and I believe, Sheetal, most of us have at least once experienced this sometime or the other, because again, as I said, we do not understand we are going through physical abuse, but it has repercussions further in life. So emotional abuse is anything from verbal abuse to rejection to gaslighting to a lot of things. For example, a person might be yelling at you, insulting you, swearing on you, or he might be constantly saying or rejecting your thoughts. He might be constantly blaming or even criticizing for what you think. There might be a possibility that the person also is gaslighting you, which means he's making you doubt your own feelings or thoughts. He's actually making you feel that you are not in sync with what you think, or you have lost the sanity by actually manipulating the truth. So if you experience any of this, if you have experienced actually any one of this, you need to understand you have gone through emotional abuse, and it is high time you actually deal with it. The third one is sexual abuse, which means a person who tries to force sexual interest on you. Sexual abuse generally refers to any action that pressurizes someone to do something sexually, which especially, mark my words, which especially they don't want to do it. Some examples of it could be unwanted kissing or touching, unwanted rough or violent sexual activity, even rape and attempted rape, refusing to use condom, and restricting someone to take birth control pills can also be a sexual abuse red flag, which you need to be aware about. The fourth one, which I guess after COVID, Sheetal, I have seen a lot of people speaking about this abuse openly, is a technological abuse. Basically, when a person tries to control you using technological methods, especially by harassing you or even threatening you, is what we call as a technological abuse. Examples of technological abuse would be sending you threatening messages, tracking someone, stalking someone, sharing explicit images with someone, demanding demanding your partner's password, at times can also be under technological abuse, or even constant checking your phone log and doubting you, or having telling you, I know where you are, what you are doing, and I'm going to do this, I'm going to do that, can also contribute to what we call as technological abuse. The fifth one is the financial abuse. Financial abuse is a form of family violence. I believe many families, many people have been experiencing this in their families. It can include withholding of money, influencing your decisions about where you should invest in terms of your money, controlling all the household spending, asking you, where did you spend this money, where did you spend 10 rupees, from everything and anything, controlling your financial decisions can be contributors to financial abuse. Also, just an example, controlling how the household income is spent can also be financial abuse. Another form would look like taking a loan in your name, can also be an element of financial abuse. And last but not the least, abuse by immigration status. So, Sheetal, what do you think about this kind of abuse? What can be abuse due to immigration status?
What I think, just one the and I have heard of a couple of cases also, is where you are in a different country and your passport is kind of taken away by your partner, or otherwise you are threatened by the partner that you will complain to the administration and therefore get them deported. I think these are the kind and the signs that you are going through abuse by immigration status.
And imagine, Sheetal, if you are into that position, it will be so is scary. You are in a different country altogether, and this is something that was happening with you. So, with all these abuses, different types of abuses, it is very important for us to be aware and to look for signs if you are getting into such kind of abuse.
But just one thing, tell me something, and it's always interested me, that why is it like, even if I look at Johnny Depp and Amber Heard's case, they were married, they got married in 2015, and the divorce only happened in 2017. Tell me something, that why is it that women, despite seeing all the signs, why is it that they want to stay in those relationships and they don't see the signs at all?
So she said, our mind especially is very funny at times, because you are going through a lot emotionally, maybe because you're in emotional abuse, financially because you're in financial abuse, but still you believe that, okay, this is what I have got myself into. This is the person I chose. That can be one of the reasons. The second reason might be, because you are embarrassed to go in front and speak about it, because you feel, oh, what will people think? What will people say? And very importantly, at times you yourself are in denial that no, I don't think this is abuse. This is just a casual thing that this person has done. But when it actually keeps on happening now and again, is when you actually start feeling, oh, maybe I am into an abusive or toxic relationship.
And just one thing also, what happens, I think, is that when especially you are with a partner, especially like in you've been dating each other for a very long time and then you get married. I think when you start reading those signs of abuse, you are in denial also, because it is somewhere creating that self doubt, right? I mean, you are it's also your ego partly, which is constantly telling you, no, how can this person be wrong? I was with him for 10 years. I know him for 10 years. Possibly something is going wrong in the office, or possibly something is going wrong in life, and stuff like that. So you refuse to kind of read those signs and understand that, and also start self doubting yourself, and you want to project this uh, image of a happy family in front of the people, because this was the person of your liking, your choice, and therefore it is also reflective of you and the choices and the judgments that you make about other people. Which is why you kind of keep going on in that relationship until it reaches to a point where it's going to completely break you.
And Sheetal, as you rightly said, there is a lot of self-esteem, self-blaming, self-doubt involved in all the toxic relationships. These are the three things that are very common in all abuses. May it be financial abuse, economic abuse, or even emotional abuse. Anything you see these three patterns, if while the person is actually in denial, that person starts doubting himself. The person starts blaming himself, or even the person starts feeling, I'm not worthy of this relationship. Maybe that's why the person is behaving with me like this. So for all of this, Shital, it is very important, as I said, to first accept and understand that you are into an abusive relationship if you really want to get out of it.
So just one thing, once that a person has finally understood that, okay, I am in an abusive relationship, what do you suggest should be the first steps that a person should take? What is the advice that you will give to that person?
So I would say, Sheetal, as I said, the first and the most important step is to accept that you are in a toxic relationship. Once you have accepted that, okay, I am in this toxic relationship and it is high time I want to get out of it. So first comes the willingness to get out of it. Because Sheetal, I'm sure many people who are into this a toxic relationship are still not sure. Yes, they accepted that they are into a toxic relationship, but they are not sure if they want to come out of it. So making the decision if you want to really come out of it, and if if you really want to come out of it, then I would say it is very important to understand and realize that you are not the person to be blamed. It is the consequence, it is the, I would say, element, triggers that have led to all of this. And the first step that you should be taking is to talk to someone who you trust, because getting a different alternative or a perspective change in perspective can really help you out. And I would say at the same time, it is very important, Sheetal, to talk to a professional. Because at times, yes, you will feel better when you talk to someone who is close to you, but getting a professional help in terms of getting out of this relationship can really help you out. You can actually talk to a psychologist, you can actually go and talk to a legal professional if you really want to come out of a legal relationship.
That's absolutely true, Jaswandi. And, to sum it all up, no matter how many times popular media sells you an abusive relationship in the name of passionate one, you must remember that if a relationship feels like Russian roulette, then it's a sign that the relationship is doomed. A normal relationship feels safe. It is one where your boundaries are respected, your partner's words align with their action, there is never talk of abandonment following every argument, your thoughts and opinions are valued, and you are given the space to be who you are. A perfect relationship is one which has all these elements and not just episodes of smothering love. So, thank you so much, Jaswandi, for giving all the information. I'm sure it'll benefit our listeners a lot. And thank you, listeners, for joining in. We'll be back again with another podcast for you.